You've been waiting for clarity, but clarity isn't the starting line. Consistency is. Visibility creates clarity, and being consistent creates visibility. Let's talk about that today. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third-generation minister, international best-selling author of 40 books and counting. I've had the amazingly wonderful privilege of working with over 5,000 people, helping them in the process of writing, publishing, marketing their books to bestseller, and everything else that you can imagine in marketing. You know, we've been around since before there was an Amazon, since before there was an internet, working with everything from multi-billionaires to stay-at-home moms, from people who are brand new in their startup companies to people who are, seasoned veterans who just need a little bit more help. But here's one thing that clearly and consistently shows up with everybody, and that's that we're always looking for a magic bullet when what we really already have is the true magic, and that is consistency. Okay, you have inside of you, we have our 3 C's: clarity, consistency, connection. And I keep telling you, it doesn't necessarily go in that order. They kind of run around each other. They're all at the same time kind of a situation. It's all at the same time, all of them kind of a situation. It isn't a, do this and then do that. Some kind of framework kind of thing or something, step 1, step 2, step 3. They're the 3 things that come together. They're like when you hold your twine fingers together and you're holding hands with somebody that you love, then, that electric, wonderful, magical spark happens. That's the same thing with the 3 C's. But here's the thing. Your connection, your heart, that is who you are as a person. You're going to connect with the people that are going to be like you. You can be, massively empathic, or you could be, kind of a little bit prickly. And you're going to attract the people who want somebody like that. Some people want, as a coach, as a mentor, as a whatever, they want somebody that is just going to be kind of a little harsh. There is a reason why drill sergeants are the way that they are. Because what they do works. Okay. And you have 2 sides of the equation. You have the people who look back at boot camp and they go, oh man, it was really tough, but it was a great experience. And others that are just like, oh man, it was just hell from beginning to end. Neither of them are wrong. It's just purely a matter of, that drill instructor needs to do what they need to do to get the people to where they need to go. And some people really resonate with it. In fact, they themselves may later on become drill instructors because of that. Other people, they kind of fight against it always. And that's just normal. That's consistent there. That's connection. Clarity comes in doing. Clarity is when you're driving down the road, if you see a sign that says detour, or bridge out, turn here, you make the turn and you go different ways. As you know more about you, you're going to get more clear. And as you learn and grow and develop as a person, you're going to make pivots. That's what makes you powerful as the you that is you. Okay. But consistency kind of leads the pack. Or if you will, it kind of keeps the pack moving. Okay. You can get to your destination. You can get there on a plane. You could get on, and it doesn't exist anymore, but you could get on, that subsonic plane that went up in the upper atmosphere that I can't think of the name of it right now. That's going to bug me. Anyway, and you can go from New York to London in just a couple of hours. It's a really quick flight. Okay. Or you can take a regular jet plane and you can go from New York to London in about, I know that it's a 6 to 8 hour trip usually on a regular jet. Or you could, fly in a prop plane, like Charles Lindbergh and people like that did. And it's going to take you whatever that is, 15 or 18 or 20 hours. Okay. Now, unfortunately, there isn't a train that you could take that you could go across the ocean. But imagine if you took a train across that amount of distance. In this case, we'll talk about, going from, like, say, New York to LA. Okay, the New York to LA train, and it's not a direct route, but it's going to take you probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 45 to 60 hours between all the stops and the layovers and everything. Okay, and you could do that, and you can take the train, and they can drive it the whole way. You could get in your car. Now, technically speaking, you could drive it in about that same amount of time, maybe even a little less. If it's, let's just say, the train with all of its stops and everything is 60 hours, you could probably drive coast to coast in about 40-ish hours, give or take. Okay, depending on the route and where you're going and, how much north and south you're doing. Are you going all the way straight across, say, for example, Interstate 40 or Interstate 10, which both of those go pretty much across the entirety of the United States? You could do it. Okay, but that's assuming nonstop driving, which isn't really real. The truth of the matter is you're probably going to drive 6 or 8, maybe 10 hours, and then you're going to need to stop. I mean, if you were a long haul trucker, they only will allow you, hi, that one. They will only allow you to drive 8, maybe 10 hours. But you need to have a break. If you're a train engineer, the train engineers can only be behind the quote unquote wheel, at the controls of a train for a absolute max of 10 hours. When they get to the 10-hour point, they literally have to pull off to the side and wait there until they drive a different engineer to come and take over. The crew can only work that amount of time. Okay. And anyway, you could walk from New York to Los Angeles. You could run it, like they did in Forrest Gump, where he ran back and forth from coast to coast. You could do that. Okay, you could crawl. But if you sit on your couch, and it doesn't matter, you could be halfway. You could be in central Kansas like I am. You could be in central Kansas like I am, and you could sit on the couch and neither end up in Los Angeles or New York and just be there, be stuck, make no movement anywhere. You see, that's what consistency is its movement. Even if you're moving in the wrong direction and clarity shows you that you needed to take a left turn at Albuquerque, to quote Bugs Bunny, that's okay. That's good. When you're moving, you can go places. When you're stopped, you're going nowhere. That's where the consistency comes in. You got to be in motion. You don't get clear so that you can show up. You show up so that you can get clear. You get visible so that, you use the processes like what I've got. You can drop the word amplify, and I can help you get real reviews on your book from real human beings that really read your book. And, we got that process all lined up for you to do the legwork of getting you real, true reviewers. Okay, you can do that. All right. Or you could hope that happens. You see, there's a way you can do it. There's a way you can hope it. Now if you do that consistently, though, you will get to the point where, without having me have to help you find people will be finding your book. It'll be visible. And you'll be getting people who are buying the book, reading the book, reviewing the book without our process. It's designed to eventually create enough traffic. Now you need to continue doing the marketing things, because if you just stop marketing, you'll go about 90 days and then your visibility will completely stop. But you can cut back on it. You can do less advertising, less those kind of things, because the organic is taking over and it's doing it. And then you're nurturing the relationships with the people who do get your book. That's why it's so important at the end of your book that you have here's the next thing you can do for me. And it can be as easy as being on, join my mailing list, to as advanced as, inviting them to an offer. Either way, you want to keep that relationship going. And as you build that visibility, you move to the point where you've got enough people that are organically finding your book, that you're then engaging in the relationship, and then you've got to nurture that relationship with them. The marketing just changes. You gotta, it's like a relationship. It's like a marriage. If you ignore your spouse, your significant other, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever, if you completely ignore them, you never listen to them, you never talk, you never spend any time together, that relationship is headed for problems. No matter how standoffish and wanting their own alone time and anything that they may be, ultimately, without that time and that connection, it's not going to work. And that's where you end up needing this consistency. It applies in everything. And you will get more and more clear. You'll get people that will come in. They'll get your book and then they'll diss it. They'll be like, this book is, they'll say things. And at first, I will tell you, it'll hurt your feelings. It will. But then you can also get some real insight from it. You're like, that person had a valid point. That person said, the book says this, but then they never really gave me all the stuff. And you can look at it and go, you know what? Really, I do need to give more in this book. The reason why I'm not engaging enough with the people is because, and I love how ChatGPT used this phrase on me the other day, because we're giving people vitamins rather than the medicine that they need. We're taking somebody that's deathly ill and just handing them a handful of vitamin C and saying, hey, I hope you get better, versus giving them the antibiotic that they need to be cured of the disease that they've got. Visibility is the strategy that gets you, and consistent visibility is the strategy that gets you to the point where you have that clarity, where you make those connections. That is the way that things work. Because when we consistently, I'm sorry that you have the flu and strep, that's awful. When you consistently have the exposure, you consistently have the visibility, when you consistently have a process that is keeping you visible in front of people, then people begin to know you. People begin to like you. They begin to trust you. They know you exist. They begin to suggest you for the solution that you are. Those things don't happen by accident. You can go onto LinkedIn and you can do a massive campaign. And you need to hire Jamie, the lady that oversees my LinkedIn. And she can build a great campaign for you that can reach out to people. But if you don't then nurture those connections you make, nothing's going to happen from them. If all you're ever doing is bombarding them with buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, it's not going to work. But if you intersperse, even if you're, making offers to them, I'm not saying not making offers, but, during that, also be like, oh gosh, I'm sorry to hear that you were sick. Just like, that one just told us that they have flu and the strep, and that's awful. And they need to get into the doctor and get feeling better and have some chicken soup and all those kind of things. See, you can insert all of that right in and be effective and visible and valuable to the people. And there is no better consistency tool than your book. It'll be there on Amazon 24/7, then the question becomes, are you doing the things to make it so that it's visible all around the world to everyone, everywhere? Hey, Nick, glad to have you here. You can have that consistent, always constant visibility at the place where the people are going. Sure, you can build the traffic to your own site, but if you don't have any traffic to your site, you're not going to have any people coming to your site. Amazon has billions of people that are coming to their site. Then you just need to be visible on that site. You need to have your SEO together. You need to have the reviews so that people are constantly seeing it. And you need the algorithm monster to be like, ooh, this one's something that, we want to make show up because, and ultimately, let's just be real. Amazon wants to feature and show and prompt the books that are selling because they want to sell more books so they can make more money. You don't need to be louder. You don't need to jump and scream and shout and throw a tantrum. You just need to be consistent. And from that consistency, you'll get your clarity. Drop the word amplify, like I said earlier. Put it in a DM. Put it in a comment. Let's take your book. Let's make you consistently visible and consistently valuable, and help you get the clarity that you need, that powerful clarity that's going to make all the difference in the world. Stop waiting to be ready. Start showing up consistently. And I promise you, clarity will step up and meet you when you're moving. I hope that you're happy, safe, warm, and loved. I'm so grateful that you came and joined us here today. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how you can become the trusted voice in your space. And until we're together again next time, I hope you have a great week.